I grew up in England on a council estate in South London. Now, a council estate is basically low-income social housing. And staying out of trouble living in a place like that can be a very difficult thing to do. Alcohol, drug use, violence are all sort of a part of everyday life. My stepfather was an alcoholic and a drug user, and our small kind of overcrowded house had become a place filled with a lot of negativity. I was not interested in going to school. I didn't turn up most of the time. I was involved in gangs at a very, very early age, and at 16 I left home. I moved into what is called a halfway house, which is a place where people coming out of prison or that are homeless stay while they're waiting for social housing. I remember I shared a room with about 5 other guys who were always high or drunk or fighting, and you couldn't leave the room, leave any of the belongings in the room, because all your stuff would basically be stolen. So I remember when I signed up for evening art class at this time, I had to take all my belongings with me every time that I went, and going to work every day also. You had to take all of your belongings from the place, otherwise everything would be stolen. But I had signed up for an art class. It had always been the one thing that had helped me through the hardest times. I was always into art and had gotten into graffiti as a kid when graffiti had hit the streets of London. It was at this time that my biological father, who I hadn't spoken to in about 10 years, contacted me and asked me if I wanted to go to the US with him. I said yes, and ended up living there for many years. While I was there, I was rolling with this graffiti crew called TDK. One of the guys, a very good friend of mine, Mike Dream, he was a legend in Bay Area graffiti. And he was working with folks involved with gangs and violence, and he did a lot of community work with his art. And he was telling other graffiti artists that would write their name everywhere that at a certain point you got to think beyond just writing your name and chasing fame. But at some point you got to start giving back to your community. You got to start saying something with your art. And in 2000, when Mike died, his words and a lot of the work that he did really stayed with me. And I started to use my art to benefit the community where I was living, and I started to work with young people. I got involved with working with youth who were in trouble with gangs and in trouble with the police and this kind of stuff. After 9/11 happened, I organized a multi-faith community mural in San Francisco, and did a lot of murals around the city to do with bringing people together. I went to Cuba to do an art project. I went to Palestine to give workshops to young people affected by the war there. I came to Europe and I got involved in doing art projects with refugees, working in asylum centers and stuff like that. And now I've traveled to many, many places around the world, painting murals, collaborating with local artists, giving workshops in poor communities in different parts of the world. Today, here I am in Soweto, South Africa, painting a mural of Steve Biko, which is an amazing thing for me to be doing. Steve Biko is a local hero, anti-apartheid activist. And today, actually, is the commemoration of his death. And the local people here have invited me to join them in a ceremony celebrating the life of Steve Biko. And I feel very, very lucky and blessed to be here doing this, and I will leave this gift for the people of Soweto.